Welcome to Offset with Larry and the Big Man, two-time Stanley Cup champion Jay Caulfield. Dave Ricchini is here. He's our mastermind of the numbers, and we're going to get you rolling for the weekend. But first, want to thank One Team Media. We've got Ryan Jorgen, Mark Cuddington, and Logan Douglas producing this with Brian Hess at the helm for One Team Media. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Michael Spatropoli from Odyssey Pittsburgh.
Yeah, boys, and also we want to thank the Rourke Automotive Group. Dave's been a part of us from the beginning. We want to thank them. Also, Tom Grealish and Henderson Brothers. Thanks for joining and also being a title sponsor. We certainly appreciate it and glad you're a part of it.
How was your weekend? Last weekend, I thought about you. I know we're going to talk about football, but just as a footnote to one of the greatest World Series that I've ever seen.
That was something special. I mean, just the way that series played out with, Game 3 going 18 innings. Some of the bigger names in baseball playing in the series, but at the end, it's Ernie Clement is the guy that sets the postseason record for most hits in a single postseason, and then the heroes Miguel Rojas, who had not homered off a right-handed pitcher all season, and does it in Game 7, the ninth inning. Only the second time that's happened. The other time, obviously, being Bill Mazeroski, home run to tie or take the lead in the ninth inning of Game 7. So, had everything. I think a lot of Pittsburgh fans would have rather seen the Blue Jays win than the Dodgers because of the payroll, but still it had.
Me too. Just because they hadn't won one. So,
but I will say this: it's not like Toronto's Pittsburgh Pirates. They're 7th in the league on their payroll. It's not like they're. Right. I mean, everybody's talking about that, but truly, they're 7th in the league on their payroll.
I just figured Dodgers had.
Maybe they can pull up the number. Maybe you can pull up the number of what they are. I think they're probably around 100 and close to 200 million themselves. I know everybody's saying that, but truth be told.
Well, it was just fun to watch. So close that chapter on baseball and get ready for the weekend. So in 2 weeks, Steelers hosted a Sunday night game against the Packers. That didn't go their way. Much better outcome when the 7-1 at the time Colts came to Acrisure. Now back on the road in a national spotlight game in Los Angeles to take on the Chargers. Have you ever been in that SoFi Stadium by chance?
No, it looks phenomenal. I've never been there.
Everybody says it's another level.
If I recall, though, when we used to play in the Forum, it's where that stadium is built where the racetrack horse used to be. Just on the other side of the Forum.
Right.
But to me, it's unbelievable what they've done there and what they've built. And two teams, I don't know if I'd like two teams sharing the same facility, like the Rams and the Chargers do, but it's probably unbelievable. And you'll be there.
You're correct. Former site of the Hollywood Park racetrack.
Yeah. It was
Very good.
Yeah, right across from the Forum. We used to come out.
How would you know where the racetrack is? No, just asking.
That's a good point, Larry. That's very good. I like that cover.
Hey, we're going to Los Angeles to play at the Forum. Good.
Oh, the track's right next door. It's very
He's probably a jockey back in his day. He's got the same size.
So we've talked all week about the Steelers' regeneration of the defense after the previous 2 games where obviously they were very ineffective. And there was little hope for a lot of Steeler fans going into that game last Sunday that they'd be able to pull it out against the Colts. 6 turnovers. Jonathan Taylor had 45 yards rushing. So something's changed. Now, what do we know? What's the scouting report on the Chargers?
Well, they got a quarterback that's, right. He's like one of the young guns coming up that's got a couple years and due to win. I think the new coaching staff for him, a Harbaugh there, that'll help him understand the game even more. I don't know. I think all these teams in the NFL, you can't pick. If you're a betting person, it is hard to see what you're going to do. If you went back to last week, Green Bay losing to Carolina, Detroit losing to the Vikings, you don't know. And really, Chargers didn't run away with anything against the Titans. In fact, they gave up a lot. But I just think their quarterback is what it's all going to be around him. And their defense, I think, can be had because they gave up 20 to Tennessee. So I think the game can be ripe. But I also know that when every game's on film and everything's on tape and you're seeing what the Steelers do, they do want to take the ball away. But I still go back to that game a little bit with Indy and go, they kind of abandoned the run. They abandoned Jonathan Taylor was
right.
It just didn't, they didn't let him get warmed up. Then it's turnover after turnover, and they were created by the Steelers. So, but I still think Chargers can be had, but their quarterback, he's got a great arm, and he's really good.
I will say the final score of the Tennessee game, a little misleading, pick 6 and a punt return the first quarter. Only 6 points of the offense. But I will say this. I mean, how funny is it? The Steelers last week faced the NFL leader in passing. This week, they faced the guy's number 2, Justin Herbert. So another dangerous weapon, but they're still
in his home, nothing, perfect climate,
He seems, there's something about him, though, that you can tell he's at another level from a lot of other quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He's got a comfort and confidence that's, palpable, and it's, getting them results. So, but if the Steelers defense can play like they did a week ago, but you never know, Jay, week to week. How about that Bears game with the Bengals? I was on the elevator coming down. Check this out. Leaving the Steeler game last Sunday, and I looked, and the Bears were up, and there was almost no time left. By the time I got down the elevator, the Bengals had taken the lead. And I'm like, how is that possible? Now I see, I thought the Bengals were going to lose, but there's 54 seconds, but looks like Chicago only has it in there. It's going to take a miracle. By the time I walked outside, I got maybe 100 yards. The Bears had scored to take the lead and win. You never know on any given Sunday.
So, Dave, this feeling like if you're even just picking games, just looking at a game yourself, and you watch that game, and usually you go, 2 minutes, that's a lot of time, or over 2 minutes, there's too much time left on the clock. It's only teams like Cincinnati where you go, it's 54 seconds, and that was too much time. It was not even, literally, and then they make a play, they don't even worst tackling. I can't imagine if you're a Bengal fan, like what that feeling would be like what they're going through. But you can almost rate a defense by how much time is on the clock. And if you say to yourself, they left too much time on the clock, then you don't have a defense that's in the top 20 in the NFL.
By the way,
we're not good.
Some of the offensive players for the Bengals in the locker room after
Chase Brown.
Yeah.
What a time to go in the bye week. So they go in the bye week. They scored 38 points and 42 points in the last 2 weeks and lost both games. Now you go in the bye week, and by Chase Brown.
You got to taste that.
Finish the effing game. Like he wasn't holding anything back talking about the defense, and that's not going to sit well for 2 weeks in that Bengals.
Well, good.
Look where they would have been. Look where they would have been in the standings.
They win the last 2 games.
Just because of how the Steelers lost to one game, or as we know, they lost to one game. And when they lost that game, it brought everybody back to the pack, right? But I agree. That's going to be a long couple weeks. And they just, again, when you don't have any faith in, as I said, I literally felt it. I was watching the game, and I'm watching Joe Flacco do, which everybody's got to be rooting for Joe Flacco. I don't care. He does his thing. He's not no show about it, does his thing and throws the ball, and he's got phenomenal receivers. That was even with T. Higgins out. They still went down the field. He got hurt on the drive leading up to them, taking the lead.
Right.
I just think that you can't put together a defense defense is built on anger and aggression and beating the man in front of you. That's what that's all about. And when you can't find personnel to fill those roles, that I think if you're an NFL franchise with all the money they have in scouting and everything that goes with it before the draft and what you're doing along the way, to not be able to put a team that can stop somebody, not even close to stop anybody, that's tough. That's why. Well, we're glad it's Cincinnati, and they're pushing themselves out, but defense, main reason.
So, guys, last week we all picked the Colts, obviously happy with the results. But this week, suddenly, the fan base is energized. The team seems different. You're going on the road, national stage. So, Jay, what's your prediction for Sunday night?
I'm going to go first since you.
I'm going to go first again.
Okay.
Go first again.
I don't want you to be sour over there.
No, I am going to go Steelers 27-20. All right, because I believe Aaron Rodgers is going to throw a couple touchdown passes. I believe Herbert's going to get a couple himself. And then it's a field goal game inside of that. That's my pick.
Herbert sacked 6 times against Tennessee. He sacked the 3rd most times in the NFL. So coming off what the Steelers did against Daniel Jones, that's good. A name to keep an eye on, Oronde Gadsden II. Do you remember his dad, the former wide receiver for the Dolphins? His son is the starting tight end for the Chargers, has come on strong, 68 yards receiving in 4 straight. Steelers and Chargers have alternated wins the last 7 times they've played each other. Last time out, Chargers won. I'm giving you a lot of information here, Jay.
No,
Chargers won in
that's
Pittsburgh.
That's what people want to hear.
Chargers won in Pittsburgh last year. Last time the Steelers won in California, Duck Hodges was the starting
Oh,
quarterback.
wow. I remember that game. That was in a soccer stadium.
It was.
There were more Steeler fans than
in Carson, California. No Duck Hodges. Instead, it's Aaron Rodgers. But
he's no Duck Hodges.
I don't know. Gut tells me Chargers. Chargers win it.
All right.
I'm going 27-17.
27-17. Based on what you said about Chargers defense and then their offensive line allowing those sacks, I'm gonna say Aaron Rodgers is gonna roll 31-24. So we all picked the Steelers to win Sunday
I got the
night.
We
Chargers.
got Chargers.
Oh, you said Chargers.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what
You
happens.
said 27-17 Chargers.
I did.
I'm sitting right here.
But I may
I'm gonna
change
hit
it
that.
depending on what happens.
That's because I'm still in California myself.
Just
Hey,
write the
Larry's
score
travel
down.
schedule
No
has
team.
been extremely difficult. For him to be here,
Yeah.
with us all week, we're extremely excited because his travel schedule was second to none. No, Larry.
That leads into the next
say again
topic,
what
right?
you did.
Well, and so we left Thursday with the Pitt football team, went out to Santa Clara, California. Our hotel room overlooked Levi Stadium, site of the next Super Bowl where the 49ers have their home. And it's about an hour to the big city of San Francisco, and went down to Fisherman's Wharf, Ghirardelli Center, the chocolate people, and then went to Alcatraz,
It's awesome.
toured the prison there. I think the president wants to turn it into a prison again. That may be cost prohibitive, but it does have a beautiful view of the city and the bay. And then we took this autonomous car called a Waymo, a Jaguar, and it drove us from Fisherman's Wharf to Chinatown, where we went to the house of Nan King for dinner. But all of that was the day before the Pitt Panthers, who hadn't played at Stanford in 100 years, and they were 3-0 at home. They weren't the most dangerous threat, but Pitt once again found a way to win on the road, ripping off 5 straight wins with a bye this weekend and then hosting the Fighting Irish of Notre Dame.
Can I say something before we get into Pitt? Because it is a great story what they're doing. Larry sent the video of him in this car with no driver, ghost driver, nobody driving the car, and 15-minute ride. I don't know how many out there, but there's no way I'm getting in that car with no driver. Dave, you?
Well, my family was down in Arizona with me in August, and they took it once. They liked it, and they took it again. They took it to the airport. So they were fans. I'm kind of.
Does anybody, I mean, I look at like, you put cruise control on and maybe you're going a little faster and you should. It's a little, you're moving a little quicker, but there's that feeling of like, it gets
You're
out
not
of
in control.
Yeah, there's no control. So
You have the same issue when it comes to flying.
I do. Not in my, and I love flying. I love seeing. That's what a special thing to be able to be up and see everything, what it's about. The parts I don't like is when you land and they say your gates, there's nobody at the gate and you're waiting and it's the unknown. They're the things that I don't like. But flying part is special. I think it's amazing that a car can get you to your destination, but there's no way I'm getting in a car with no driver.
Do you like roller coasters?
Oh, I love roller coasters. Right. I do.
You have no control over that either.
No, but it's on a track.
Yeah,
It's on a track.
Jay, full disclosure, my boss said, hey, we should probably do this. This would be a good social media post. And I'm like, but I downloaded the Waymo app while walking
That's weird.
and had it connected in 3 minutes. And then it popped up, where do you want to go?
That
House of Nan King, Chinatown. And then 3 minutes later, this autonomous vehicle, I see it across the street. It's making a U-turn, comes up, pulls up. And people say, well, how do you know that that's your car or somebody else didn't steal it? Because it has your initials or name on top. And then nobody else can get in it because you have a button to open the doors. So you just hit open and there's nothing to grab unless you hit that button and the handles pop out.
Okay, so if you're in that car and you're driving and you want to get out of the car,
There's a pullover button.
there's a pullover button.
you hit pullover.
Because otherwise you're telling me there's no handle. You're just driving along. That's the part, right? People were stuck in the incline for 3 hours.
Oh, I saw that.
Couldn't get, and then
27 people.
27 people in the incline. So if you're in a car with no door handles, but Larry made it sound really good. I'm just impressed that he did. He had a video of it. It was outstanding. So we don't, but I get it. It's where it's all going. I get
Jay would get in his phone when he'd run out of power. So it would shut down. He'd be stuck in the car for hours on end.
Excuse me, do you have a charger? That's right. Well, every time we go, big man, Mario Lemieux. So whenever we're on any kind of trip, they always give me, lets me have the front seat. He's always so nice about that. Front seat rider. You were in the front seat.
I was.
At least you felt like you could grab the wheel if you needed to.
Well, I mean, it's there, but I just, yeah, to your point, it was kind of a suspension of reality, and I really didn't want to do it, but now that I did it,
It's pretty good.
I'm glad I had that experience, but I'm not in a hurry to do it again.
Okay.
And it talks to you, right? What does it say?
It's a woman, very attractive sounding woman. She's there. Hello, Larry. Then it started playing a Marilyn Manson song about, and this was Halloween Day.
Oh, so it's kept.
This is Halloween. This is, and I'm looking and there's nobody driving. If I was not a straight person in terms of, recreational marijuana is legal in California, there are some people, can you imagine eating gummies and this car pulls up with no person in it? It might create a scene. Anyway,
Very good. But it's great that you're here because the travel schedule was quite the thing. You went from the Pitt game, you make it back for the Steeler game and do your thing, and everybody gets to hear, what it's all about.
yeah, when you get back-to-back wins like that, what was really cool was we got to watch the 7th game of the World Series on the flight. So it kept me up, but that was exciting.
That, by the way, we'll say it, that took over to, if you talk about theater, great theater, people were watching everywhere. It was in hockey games. They had it on the Jumbotron where Edmonton was playing, games are going on. And I think it was, I'm going back to that for 1 second, but truly what great theater. And you're watching it in the air. I mean, people, you wanted to see it as much as baseball. When you get to the playoffs for baseball, that's it. And they made it. It was a great series, and both teams really, great showing by both.
So the only plus was when we landed at 1:45 a.m., we were getting off the plane. By the time it was our turn to disembark, clock turned to 2, and then it went back to 1. So it mentally, psychologically, it's like, oh, I get that extra hour of sleep. So I'll be much more focused next week. But meanwhile, Pitt wins. They're 7-2. They're 5-1 in the ACC. Georgia Tech, who was the top 10 team, lost, and Miami lost again. Pitt's playing Notre Dame in 2 weeks, or next weekend. They're on a bye week this week. That's not a conference game. They can actually afford to lose that if they can find a way to beat Georgia Tech. Now, it's on the road in Atlanta and then home against Miami. Hopefully it's snowing. They're right in the conversation, believe it or not, certainly for the ACC. And if they win all 3, they'll be in the conversation for a potential playoff team.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look at the stats. Sorry, Jay. You look at the standings. Virginia 5-0, Georgia Tech and Pitt both 5-1, and then 3 teams at 4-1. Louisville, SMU, and Duke. Louisville plays at SMU the final ACC game.
SMU's good.
At Duke in 2 weeks. You mentioned Pitt already is going to be playing at Georgia Tech. If they can somehow win that game, again, they have all the momentum. And then you mentioned this bye week. So, okay, what do you need to work on? What do you need to fix?
Get healthy.
Yeah. So it comes in a perfect time.
defense.
Yeah. And
they should get Desmond Reed back.
I almost think that's obviously the injuries on the defensive side, but the Desmond Reed thing, what a weapon.
I think they sat him. I think they could have played him, but things were going well, and they ended up winning. So now they get an extra week to get him healthy to help this 18-year-old, true freshman, Mason Heinchel, who's been terrific. He's 5-0.
Unbelievable.
See, I'm anxious to see how they stack up against a team like Notre Dame. Seasoned, they're good, but they can't make the mistakes they've made playing some of these teams. They're going to have to play a much better game, certainly against Notre Dame, but Georgia Tech and Miami. But they're still in the conversation.
and they're not ranked yet, but they can continue to get more and more votes in a coaches poll. So,
all right, what about the build-up preseason in college football? Penn State #1, Ohio State #2, at the Shoe in Columbus. But going in, based on the way the season has unraveled for the Nittany Lions, not much hope that they'd be able to upset Ohio State.
No, winning is 3 touchdown underdogs, basically 20.5 points. Came down a little bit, so some people did like Penn State to keep it close. I watched the first drive, and some good plays to start, and they get into Ohio State territory, and it's 3rd and 6, and they run the ball. I'm like, okay, they're going to try to go for it. No, they punted from the 42-yard line. Right then and there, it told me that nothing's changed. A week, they had their bye week the previous week. Nothing's changed there. And then still somehow only down by 3 at halftime, 17-14, come out in the third quarter. Ohio State scores touchdowns their first 2 drives. Penn State does not. They punt. It's over. And then the big takeaway, Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator for Penn State, comes over from Ohio State. So, okay, he probably knows the personnel over there. I'm not familiar with Ohio State's wide receivers. They're pretty good usually in the NFL. Well, Carnell Tate is going to be a top 10 pick next year. Jeremiah Smith will be a top 10 pick the year after that. 5 for 124, 6 for 123, 3 touchdowns. So I guess Jim Knowles didn't get the scouting report on those 2 guys.
Good
Well,
point.
quite possibly probably the biggest disappointment I would think in Penn State. Go back in time.
Long time.
Nobody
Long time.
like games that were earmarked to be, as you said, a marquee matchup, and to be where they're at, it's it's amazing, really.
Yeah,
to be
the other
honest,
big
in the
news.
college football world.
Last week too, Matt Rule signing the extension,
Right.
adding the buyout to the contract. So he's now out of the equation.
He's off the table. So who do you think, Dave? I mean, you follow Penn State closely. Who at this point could possibly come in and change the dynamics of Penn State?
Well, the sleeper names you hear, Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills, who has ties. He was a grad assistant at Penn State back whenever Matt Rule was there as well. Had great success at the college level with LSU. He was the offensive coordinator when Joe Burrows was in school there. Now, again, Joe Burrows, Jamar Chase hit a lot of weapons. But, the only place he did not succeed was the NFL level with the Carolina Panthers. But again, kind of restart himself in Buffalo. He's a name. Brian Hartline, who's with Ohio State right now. Again, I think in my opinion, I would like to go that route. You need an offensive-minded coach because I'm just the ground and pound, philosophy that they've had for a number of years. You need to score points at the college level, and I would like somebody to come in with fresh ideas. So those are 2 names, and it's a lot of the others like the Matt Campbells from Iowa State and some of the coaches doing well at Power 4 schools, but maybe not the elite Power 4 schools. So
I would think it's such a different. If you had to think, do you want to leave? Do you want to become a head coach in college, any college program, right? So, or the big money makers, if you will. You're now going to be dealing with the NIL stuff. You're going to be dealing with parents. You're dealing with kids that are going to make money. I can't imagine how different the feeling is to be a coach when you're just trying to recruit to get them to your program. Now you're recruiting with dollars. And how different is that going to be in the normal process of recruiting talent? A good friend of mine was Brad Berry at the University of North Dakota on the hockey side. NIL changed his whole perspective on what it's like to now be a coach in a college program. That's hockey with not as much money as you see in college football. I can't imagine. I'm sure that's a huge thing. And Penn State's has deep pockets, so that will make it easier. But you're recruiting in a completely different way now. You can't believe how it's changed the dynamics of all of it. And I think that's a big part of who's going to make a leap. Do you want to go back in? Do you want to get into that world? And I bet they might lose out on a couple of guys that don't want that or whatever, don't want to be part of that.
that's why Saban got out. That's why Urban Meyer's probably not coaching right now because of the way that the trial that it's
What about,
Can't imagine it.
and this is just a fun thing because you see a lot of social media and memes pop up with suggestions. John Gruden,
No.
he's a great coach. I mean, it's a long shot.
Yeah, but it's one thing, again, as Jay alluded to, it's motivating college kids, but now that you're paying them, it's hard to motivate.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's what they need is a guy who,
I mean, Dion worked out for 1 season at Colorado. They're not having the best. I don't know.
I think they said different. I mean, to not be in the college world, and then he's only been for his last part of his 20 years in the pro, from Green Bay, Philly, everything where Gruden's at. That's a real That's a real wacky step for me. I mean, look at Bill Belichick. I don't even get that at all. So, by the way,
I know.
the way it's played out. But yeah, I think that'd be tough. It's a tough one. I think he's going to end up back.
This
in the
is
NFL.
borderline big man blitz right here because you're digging in. So what is it
Right.
for this episode? We are ready. The
Right?
big man blitz.
Okay, so, and really, we did talk a lot that falls in that category, but I'm going to go number one. I'm going to say that a muff punt that you are not allowed to return for a touchdown. Somebody explain to me who came up with the rule that if you fumble the ball and it's live, there should be no reason why somebody picks up that they can't take it to the house. I don't get that at all. I know it's a rule. I know that's there, but explain to me why.
That's a great question because last Sunday at Acrisure, when that occurred, everybody in the building assumed you saw it. It was clear that it hit the return man, Downs, I believe, and then scoop and score. And you're like, touchdown,
Yeah.
Steelers. And it's like, hold up. They had to explain because first, I think fans didn't realize they weren't taking the ball away from the Steelers. They thought for some reason the Colts were going to get the ball back.
Yeah.
But they just, from that point where he touched it, that's where they set him up. Now they ended up scoring, but still, you're right, Jay.
It's a bad.
It's a
bad
fumble
rule.
ball.
Yeah, I don't go. Why are they giving a punt returner a break on that?
They should.
I don't get it at all. So that's my one, and it would have benefited the Steelers had it simple, and that's why they finished off the play too. He took it to the end zone. That's good, but I don't understand it, and I think it should be looked at. So that's one. My other one, okay, my second big man blitz, part of the big man blitz, is the Ohtani thing. Like I mean, what that guy does as a player, phenomenal. Babe Ruth is the only other person that could do it because the U.S. athlete isn't trained to be, hey, if you're a pitcher, you're a pitcher. You're not playing the field. You're not, DH or whatever. You don't see that from our U.S. foreign players that are playing the game of baseball. So they set up, he's a pitcher, then he's batting. And so he's doing both sides. I mean, he's playing the game, but they gave him extra time. So they set it up I believe it's because of him that they allow
He
him
made the last out.
extra time. But I mean, I think the rule is set up. They've set up a rule almost like, I think you could call it the Ohtani rule, that he pitches, he gets more time to get, warmed up. And he took it to the nth degree. I think it was 5 minutes long, a couple times. That I had a problem with. And I think what the guy does in baseball is phenomenal. But I didn't understand why the league, when you're trying to speed up the game, you have a pitch clock and you let a guy take, 5 minutes to warm up when he's running the bases. It should be treated, if you're going to do both, if you're going to be pitch and bat, that's what you're doing, you should have nothing extended to you. It is what it is. That's my second part of it.
It's like if a catcher's hitting and then they give him some time to get his equipment back.
Yeah,
That's fine.
it's fine.
A couple seconds here.
Sure.
Yeah, but that's
That's been the
But
game.
it should be.
for everybody.
They get it. Yep.
And I will say too, one thing about Game 7, if you noticed when Blake Snell came into the game and then he fixed the mound, he didn't like the landing area. So they were all another delay there too, which I thought was interesting because for the Blue Jays, their pitcher was in the game. So now this was in the bottom of the 8th. He gets the mound fixed. And then the Blue Jays pitcher comes back out for the 9th.
Yeah.
And he gets up the home run. Now it's a different mound for him. So how are you going to allow one pitcher to say, I want more dirt there in my landing area, and then the other guy comes out and needs to pitch? I didn't like that either.
No, I didn't even know that. I maybe missed that completely. That's a great point. I wouldn't like that. I don't think it's. And I think the thing you said about the catcher, it's been around the game for all this time, just a normal time. Get back in and throw a few pitches and go from there. That he took it to as far as he did, I wasn't a fan with.
Yeah.
So they shouldn't allow him to do it.
Glad you could get that off your chest. I
It was bothering since I watched the 18-inning game, and then I watched that game. I'm like, geez, it's taking forever. Like, it took a long time. The commercials, so why don't we just say that? How about the commercials that air all night long, and every Sunday on football, the same commercials every game. That's why it's so good. But hey,
a bonus big man blitz.
it is that's right. It's a bonus. But
Did you stay up for all 18 innings?
I did.
All 18.
I think I fell asleep on I think I maybe fell asleep on 14 and woke back up at 15 and watched it like
So you probably stayed up till 3,
saw
slept
you
2 hours, and got up and went to the gym.
All right.
I get it going.
First 10 games for the Pittsburgh Penguins. You said they should start fast. They needed to, and they have been one of the hottest teams in hockey.
Yeah.
What do you attribute this?
Coaching staff's been, first of all, the coaching staff, and I think Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin there. The Malkin line has been outstanding from the beginning. Saw them in preseason. They looked like they had a good feel for each other as far as line mates. And Sidney Crosby just following the lead of what he does. I think your goaltending. So all of it, like everything in a 10-game segment, they were 7-2-1, right? Nobody expected it. It's amazing to me that I think what we had said even in here, if Sidney Crosby's on your team, is he gonna let everybody lay down? No. And it doesn't mean you can't go sideways a little bit. But I'm not to be 7-2-1. I'm not going to say that's a surprise that they were able to do that. But they took care of teams they were supposed to. They were just that good. I think the coaching staff has been outstanding with the guys and how they're handling them, how they're handling the young talent, and the goaltending part. Andy Kyoto on the goaltending coach has been really good because he's got two goaltenders that have played virtually identical, two different styles. Jari can handle the puck, different type of setup in the net, but they've been really good. So I had them down through that 10-game. They're around first in the league in the power play. That right there, coached by Todd Nelson, that's phenomenal. That's going to win you games right there.
Right.
They have not been good. They've lost games because of their power play over the last couple of years. We talked about the goaltending, where it's been at. I think it's 15 points. They're right around maybe the fifth most points they've ever had in a 10-game segment to start their year. And I think you're going to have, and here's the goal. Jari, 4-1-0, 2.62, a 9.16 save percentage. Shilov's 2.56 and a 9.14 save percentage, 3-1-1. To me, just very, very good. Malkin leading the way. Crosby, Brazeau, there's a surprise, right? They brought him in, like not an afterthought. They brought him in to see where he's going to fit. Big body, and he was leading the way as far as goals scored. Carlson on the blue line and Mantha. So Mantha, Malkin, and Brazeau are in the top 5, and that's your second line. So you got off to a great start. They've been unbelievable, and now you go into the second 10. This is where they can get tested a little bit more. A couple playoff teams involved in that. That's what you'll look out for. But for me, their first 10 has been really good. And we always used to, my first organization in the NHL was the New York Rangers, and they had 10-game segments. And I'd take that off of this. And Dave set up, we did that on when we're doing the pregame and postgame stuff. I love looking at 10 games because you can get a feel of where you're at. So when we look at it again, the next 10, let's hope we're seeing the same kind of numbers. But they are facing a stiffer schedule in this 10. And inside of that, they're also going to Sweden. They're playing Nashville there twice. So next time we see after 20 games, we'll get a look at it again. And hopefully they're on the same trend, but been playing great.
And that 10th game was against the Blues. Crosby became the 9th player with 1,700 points. I know he's a lot of milestones, but also good to get that out of the way early.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not, hanging there. Curious, you mentioned young guys. What's your impression of the work management for Kendall and Brunick?
Yeah, I'm not, I think they had a plan with it. Dave, I've said it. I'm not really, I always say like pitch count too, work management. You think about it, like they held him out of 2 games. Kendall's been really good. So he's got by his 10 games. He's gotten by that. So he's here. But Brunick on the blue line, I think they had a plan, Dave. And it's a really good question because it's something that's come up in the last number of years about this type of thing, like how, give them, mandatory rest. I think Kendall's been fine. I think Brunick, I think it impacts the player when you're trying to find your game and you're in and out of the lineup. Even though you might know what's going on, I think he's been pressing the last little bit of his run here. He's got one more, I think maybe one more game to go before he hits his 10th game, and we'll find out or 9th game. We'll find out what they do. But I think they've handled the guy. I think the coaching staff has handled these guys so great across the board, even the veteran players, Dave. And I think, but I do find the blue line for me, the third pair is something you got to watch out for. They're a little short on the left side. They've played Dumba and Clifton. Dumba can move to the left side as a righty. I'm not a fan of that, but he's done it and he can do it. But the left side, I think that's something you got to watch over the year.
All right.
Yep.
Jay Caulfield, Dave Ricchini. We want to thank One Team Media, Ryan Jorgen, Logan Douglas, Mark Coddington, helping us produce this episode. Brian Hess, the mastermind behind One Team Media, and Michael Spacciapoli with my employer, Odyssey Pittsburgh, with 5 stations, including 93.7 The Fan.
Yeah, and also Dave Rourke Automotive Group, the Rourke Advantage Lifetime State Inspection, oil change, engine warranty, and also Tom Grealish with Henderson Brothers being a title sponsor with us as well. We can't thank them enough.
All right, Offset. That's a wrap